Donald Trump's administration is crumbling from within, and now open conflict is breaking out at the highest levels. This time, it's not Musk, not Marjorie Taylor Greene, not even the MAGA base. It's members of Trump's own cabinet turning on each other. Reports describe shouting matches, threats of fights, and total chaos inside the White House. We're going to break down the full story because it's wild. But first, I want to quickly remind you to tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and support the channel so we can keep covering these stories. Now, let's get into why tensions are exploding. And it starts with Trump's struggling economy and his bizarre comments about beef prices just yesterday.
The price of beef continues to rise and other items keep going up. Is there any way to address the cost of beef?
Yeah, once it kicks in, once our policies kick in, the price of beef will be going down, just like the price of eggs went down and the price of a lot of other grocery items went down. Beef will go down. It'll all go down. Energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone really, I think you'll be hitting $2 very soon. And it was $4.50 a little while ago. So energy's gone way down. That brings everything else with it. But beef has gone, as you know, for other reasons. The price of beef has gone up a little bit. It'll be coming down.
So now it looks like we're back to blaming everything on Biden's economy. But let's be clear. What policies has Donald Trump actually put in place? What is he waiting to roll out that's supposed to magically fix everything? Is it more tariffs? Another round of massive tax breaks for billionaires and big corporations? None of that solves the real problems. Farmers themselves have been filmed literally praying for relief from Trump's tariffs because their livelihoods are being crushed. The truth is, Trump is hurting the very communities that helped put him in power, and he doesn't seem to care or even fully understand the damage. His administration keeps trying to spin it away, but that pressure is exactly what led to a shocking clash inside his own cabinet. At the center of it all, Scott Bessent, who's been under fire for weeks. Before we dive into that fight, let's first look at what Bessent was saying just yesterday about Trump's so-called economic strategy.
I want to talk about what U.S. companies are saying right now, Mr. Secretary. The New York Times wrote this about John Deere, the impact that tariffs are having on that company. Quote, last month, John Deere said net income in its most recent quarter was down 29% from a year earlier. Higher tariffs have cost the company $300 million so far, with nearly another $300 million expected by the end of the year. This summer, the company laid off 238 employees across factories in Illinois and Iowa. What do you say to companies like John Deere who say these tariffs are hurting them?
Well, first of all, Kristen, if you're quoting the New York Times, that's not a fair observer. And two, that
but these are statistics.
That's
this is about John Deere. That's not about the New York Times.
That's one company that they have cherry picked. At Treasury, we have about 2 management teams come through a day, and overwhelmingly, we are hearing from companies they plan to increase capex, they plan to increase employment. We are seeing a record amount, what's going to be a record amount of foreign direct investment. And for every John Deere, we have companies who are telling us the tariffs have helped our business, we're increasing capex, and we're going to increase employment.
But Mr. Secretary, it's not just John Deere. We've heard from a lot of different companies around the country. Nike says that tariffs will cost the company around $1 billion this year. Black & Decker says $800 million. The big 3 automakers all say they've had to pay more than $2 billion in tariffs. The list goes on and on. Bottom line, do you acknowledge that these tariffs amount to a tax on the American people?
Well, first of all, let's back up, because what we've seen, for instance, the Japanese automakers have said they're eating the tariffs. So
but these companies say they're eating the tariffs. These American companies.
They're eating the tariffs. So, and again, there are numerous companies who are doing the opposite. You know, you're taking these from earnings calls, and on earnings calls, they have to give the draconian scenario. There aren't companies coming out and saying, oh, because of the tariffs, we're doing this. But I can tell you that whether it's Micron or Apple, they are upping their investments in the United States. And, Kristen, if things are so bad, why was the GDP 3.3%? Why is the stock market at a new high? Because, with President Trump, we care both about big companies and small companies. And you're quoting big companies, but the big company index, the S&P, is at a new high.
You just can't lie your way out of this one. As much as they are certainly going to try, there is no level of, well, dear leader Trump always figures it out. And look at the tariff revenue that's actually just taxes on the working class. It's not going to happen. Which is why Scott Bessent probably has a couple of people talking behind his back. And that is why a MAGA brawl broke out at the White House. As we can see in this breaking story from Politico, I'm going to punch you in the effing face. Scott Bessent threatens an administration rival. The Treasury Secretary's quiet tensions with Housing Finance Chief Bill Pai exploded at a private dinner last week. A private dinner attended by dozens of administration officials and close advisors to Donald Trump was temporarily marred by a dramatic clash between two of Trump's top economic officials, with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent at one point threatening to punch top housing finance official Bill Pai in the effing face. The Wednesday evening event was supposed to be of celebration. It was both the much-anticipated inaugural dinner at the executive branch, the ultra-exclusive Georgetown Club created by and for Trump's Trump World's uber-rich, and a birthday party for MAGA-friendly podcaster Seamus. A long table for 30 OM guests was set with top-of-the-line crystal in China, with a guest list including Sean Duffy, Howard Lutnick, Doug Burgum, and others. But amid the cocktail hour den, Bessent lashed out at PY in an expletive-laden diatribe. The Treasury Secretary had heard from several people that the Federal Housing Finance Agency director had been bad-mouthing him to Trump. A person close to him said he wasn't about to engage in chit-chat as if nothing was amiss. "Why the F are you talking to the president about me?" "F you," Bessent told Boley. "I'm going to punch you in your effing face." The scene was described to me by one eyewitness and 4 other people familiar with what happened. The only fact they disagreed on was whether it was Bessent or Pai who initiated the conversation. Pai appeared stunned, and the tense encounter prompted club co-owner and financier Omid Malik to intervene, according to 3 people. But Bessent wasn't having it. He sought to get him kicked out. The eyewitness said, "It's either me or him." Bessent said to Malik, "You tell me who's getting the F out of here." Or, he added, "We could go outside." "To do what?" asked Pai. "To talk." "No," Bessent replied. "I'm going to effing beat your ass." Seeking to de-escalate the situation, Malik separated the men, walking Bessent to another part of the club to calm him down. During the seated dinner, Bessent and Pai were placed on opposite ends of the table, and the party went off without further episode. It looks like there's a lot of tension inside MAGA world right now. Honestly, these guys are acting way too emotional to be running a government. Maybe they'd be better off channeling that energy into fantasy football or a weekend basketball game instead of cabinet meetings. Take Scott Bessent, for example. He's already been caught in a shoving match with Elon Musk, and now he's back in the headlines again. Maybe what he really needs is a little therapy instead of another fight. But that's what we're seeing in this administration. Insecurity driving chaos. Think about it. Scott Bessent is almost a billionaire. He's the Treasury Secretary, and yet he's constantly getting his feelings hurt. And none of these guys are actually upset about the affordability crisis their policies are causing. They're not fighting over how to fix grocery prices or lower costs for working families. They're just fighting each other. Meanwhile, real leaders are focused on affordability. Zora Mandani and Bernie Sanders just held a rally where they laid out a vision for fighting back against billionaire greed and actually supporting working people. Let's take a look at that right here.
Where we have to say that New York City is not for sale. New York City is not for sale to Donald Trump's billionaire donors. It is not for sale to corporations like DoorDash. It is not for sale to corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo. And Bernie has continued to lead in this movement, going from Burlington is not for sale to fighting back against oligarchy coast to coast in this country. And that fight, not just against oligarchy, but for democracy, is a fight that has energized tens of thousands of Americans across this country. It has shown once again that politics is something that can be powered by ordinary people, with not just a rejection of authoritarianism, but a belief in what is possible as well.
Those are two leaders standing up for working people, not getting into brawls at fancy MAGA dinners. And that's a message we can all get behind. We're going to keep highlighting their focus on affordability and reminding folks that the billionaire class isn't worried about your struggles. They're only worried about their next big tax break. MAGA proves time and again they'll go to bat for them, not for you. And we're going to keep hammering that point here on this channel. If you want to support that work, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I will see you soon.